Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 117-99 loss to the Houston Rockets, Riker. And this isn't just a Houston Rockets team that is bad. This is a Houston Rockets team that has lost 20 straight games. They have not won a single game since early February, Riker. It's time. We said it was time after the Cleveland Cavaliers game, but now it's really time to look at this team with the trade deadline coming forward and say, when you're losing to a team that just lost 20 straight, with all of your players, with all of your guys, it's a horrible look, Riker.
Not has lost, had lost. That is a time of the past, a status of the past. They have no longer lost 20 straight. They've snapped their historically bad losing streak, third worst losing streak in NBA history. Oh, just let that sink in, Ben. And of course, it's at the hands or the mercy of the Toronto Raptors. For the fight fans out there, I know there's not a ton, but I'm going to bring it up because it's a perfect analogy. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder won. He was knocked out late in the 12th round. His soul got knocked out of his body. His head hit the canvas. The 6th count comes. Deontay Wilder is pressing the Gypsy King all around, and then all night, and then all of a sudden he just gets this second wind. He rises from the canvas and just comes back in the rematch fight. He brought it to him, and what he said after was just something clicked, and he had new motivation, a new understanding of what had to be done. Ben, that's what the Raptors are finding right now. They've been knocked out. Their heads have smacked off the canvas. It is time for them to rise with a new purpose in tanking, in trading, in acquiring new pieces, and moving forward with a purpose, Ben, that we can all rally behind. So I'm excited despite how humiliating this is. But Ben, it's getting hot. You can feel it. You can feel the heat in our heads, and you know what time it is.
I feel it. There's a lot going to be said on this podcast. We're just getting amped up, so we're going to dive straight into it.
Technical foul. Nick Nurse just got a technical foul.
That's right. Sean, what's pulling out your hair tonight?
Gentlemen, we lost to the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets that just lost 20 straight, and they beat us. And I have no words to describe what just happened. And I am just like everybody in the chat right now, and it's blowing up. It's unbelievable. And I will just tell you this, right behind Sir Ben Rogers right now. I don't know what you're doing right now. You might be doing the dishes. You might be doing your homework, whatever. Just look up and look behind Sir Ben Rogers. There is a jersey of Kyle Lowry sitting there. And ladies and gentlemen, this was the last game of Kyle Lowry. Ben has put it up there as a memento to Kyle Lowry, the greatest Raptor of all time. This was his last game, and it happened in a gym to a team that lost 20 straight. It's unfortunate, really, but Kyle Lowry is going to have a beautiful career in Philadelphia, and God bless him because he's done so much for the Toronto fan base. And I salute you, Kyle Lowry, and to the rest of the Raptors. The tank is here. Let's go. Okay. Take out OG, take out Siakam, put the jobbers in, let the tank begin. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is actually a special day because I'm here actually from a digital health startup called YourMd.ca here in Canada. We are a telemedicine platform. We connect individuals to the best Canadian doctors in this country. And in essentially because of Kyle Lowry's last game, if you come to our Instagram page and you just DM us, Kyle Lowry, we will pay for any assessment that you need for your MD just because it's Kyle Lowry's last game. I have no other words. Riker, Sir Ben, I'm out.
Wow, Sean. So no Sir title for Riker yet, but that's it. That's it. I'll work my way up. I'm not terribly offended
Well,
by that.
listen. I'm coming back in. If you had that Walmart hat, I'll call you Sir Walmart Riker. That's it.
I can't flash it. I can't flash it and put too much paint onto this evening. And you know what? 20. I hear it. I'm hearing it from you and Ben. 20 losses in a row, this Houston Rockets team. But truly, it was just 2 losses in a row because they didn't have full strength until recently with John Wall back in the rotation. Christian Wood, who's obviously the be-all, end-all for this team. But I agree with you. I called for it last podcast. Ben broke down the trade rumors, and I 100% agree with his assessment. You're looking at Dinwiddie. You're looking at maybe Rashawn Holmes or maybe basically any big on the Sacramento Kings. And then you're looking at absolutely 110% trading Kyle Lowry because this man needs to be on a winning team. He needs to be in a win now situation. He doesn't have any purpose on a team that has a trajectory that you're not even going to make the playoffs. He's not going to re-sign. He's in the cusp or the tail end of his career. Trade him while there's significant value. There's literally a bidding war going on between Philadelphia and Miami to get him back. This probably is, I hate to say this probably is his last game, but you got to get value back for the man. 1 day left until the trade deadline, Ben.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things Sean said there. There's a lot of things you said there, Riker, and I'm still getting over the fact, I put it in the title, but this likely is the last ever time Kyle Lowry played in a Toronto Raptors uniform. That's something that's really tough to just comprehend, to really put together, as, Kyle Lowry's the GOAT. He's been here for the past 8 years. He's been the reason we're good, and now we're likely going to have to move on from him. As you said, there's a bidding war going on with Philadelphia, Miami, all these teams saying, okay, whether or not, who they're going to give up. Will it be Tyler Hero? Will it be any of those guys? And we're going to be talking about that to death for the next couple days and stuff. And again, this might not be his last game, as we do have a game pre-trade deadline, Wednesday night against the Denver Nuggets, so that could potentially be it and maybe Lowry doesn't get traded, but at this point, I think he certainly does, and I just want to just give a moment to really, I think we're a bit lethargic, we're a little bit shook right now, just after what happened, we're a bit just distraught, Riker, and as Sean said it, you said it, we need a moment to just appreciate Kyle Lowry, everything he's done for this team, before we have a lot of fun with the chat later on in this podcast, talking about trade scenarios, because that's always a good time. But just shout out Kyle Lowry. He won us a chip. He's the Raptors GOAT. There's not much more that can be said about this guy that isn't. He's the best. He's the greatest. And if this is his last game tonight, he's had a truly phenomenal Toronto Raptors career.
Oh, yeah. You're doing him a service if the Toronto Raptors trade him to a team that is positioned to actually make a run for the finals. And I think it fits within what the Toronto Raptors organization would try to do. Regardless if you make a couple moves, a couple tweaks here and there, the Raptors aren't really in the same league right now as Brooklyn Nets, as Milwaukee Bucks. Unfortunately, even though they won that series, they're not in the same league as the Philadelphia 76ers, it seems, even though they took a game off of them. When it comes down to playoff time, even if you make a couple of tweaks, this team just seems too inconsistent. So you put Kyle Lowry in an immediate win now situation. You bring back picks. You bring back young guys. You maybe bring back Tyler Hero. You maybe bring in Dinwiddie, who's legit off the bench. You bring in a big Ben. I see you rubbing your face. I don't know if you disagree.
We're going
to
lose Kyle Lowry, bro. I can't even hear. I've been hearing the rumors all day, and I'm excited for the rumors. I apologize. But
let me say, Asian Jelly says, as long as Kyle doesn't go to the Clippers, I'll be fine. We both agree with that. 76ers would be a tough look, but the Clippers would just be a devastation. And then the second thing is, who said DC, now he'll come back for his final year. Maybe not final year. He said he'd come back for the 10-day contract or whatever so he can sign and play one game. Similar to, didn't D Wade do that with Miami Heat?
He'll get a 1-day contract. He'll retire Raptor, but this is truly his last moments with the team, likely. And if it isn't, then we're just gonna have to suffer through another. We're on a 9-game losing streak, and the Raptors GOATs, they seem to go out on just horrible notes. Outside of Kawhi, Lowry's going out likely on a 9 or 10-game losing streak. If we play against Denver, we're not beating Denver, right? DeMar DeRozan went out. He got a flagrant 2 in a final game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Those two guys that dragged us out of the mud. Their careers are ending poorly, on so to speak, on a lower note in terms of the final games that they've played, but they are GOATs. I'm gonna get out of this funk. I'm gonna get a bit perky because it is an exciting time to be a Raptors fan. I'm getting that all out of my system, Riker. But
then I'm gonna get a bit perky, Rogers.
I'm gonna get a bit perky. I don't know what's going on with this, but we should talk a little bit about this game because this is technically a game reaction. But firstly, we're all distraught. We're all sad Kyle Lowry's gone. Respect to the man. If he officially gets traded, we'll have a tribute video. We'll have all that sort of stuff. But to talk about this game a little bit, it's been the same case with the Toronto Raptors all year, right? We have our top 6 guys. Four out of our top 6 always play well, and that's reasonable because, you know, they're your rotation pieces. That's what you really need to win games. But then the rest of the roster's just not there, not consistent, not able to do it for you. Fred VanVleet had 27 points. Norm had 19. Siakam had 21. Then Kyle Lowry had 17. But then, you know, Stanley Johnson was in the starting lineup in place of OG Anunoby. 0 points. Chris Boucher, who's usually a reliable guy, 4 points, 1 of 7. Aaron Baines, the insurance pylon, and we've been mostly positive about Baines and his role coming off the bench and saying, okay, he's a good insurance guy, he's this, he's that. We've been fairly positive about Aaron Baines. But my God, the worst stretch of basketball outside of the grade 7s that I coach and stuff in Newfoundland and all that. And they honestly, I haven't seen a stretch of basketball worse than that in their age group. Right, the grade 6, grade 7 boys. Aaron Baines comes out onto the court. I'm playing the insurance pylon again, right? He comes out on the court. Immediately, one pass to him on a pick and roll. Flies out of his hands, right? The next possession, it's the same possession because the ball flew out and I think Malachi picked it up. He's standing underneath the rim, right? The ball gets thrown to him, like right directly to him. And there's a bit of fire on it, but you're completely open. The ball is just catching it, right? The ball flies out of his hands once again. Right? Then he gets crossed up by Brittany Grinder or whatever DJ Wilson or whatever his name is. It looks like they pulled him from the WNBA. They crossed up Aaron Baines on the next possession.
Just rude.
Right?
That's just rude.
Brittany Grinder's coming out, crossing up Aaron Baines, and then the possession after, you're texting me what is going on with Aaron Baines. He catches it underneath the rim. And pulls up for this like hook dunk, and it flies out. He bricked a dunk, Riker. I don't know. I'm playing the pylon segment.
And it was a back-to-back. They were fatigued. They were tired. It was a back-to-back then.
If I have to hear Leo Routens or anyone say, oh, look at Pascal, his hands are on his knees, they're struggling, they're tired. Paul Watson, I know he's only played 4 minutes, but he's tired out there too, right? He hit a couple shots early on. You can't expect him to be able to run back the floor. The excuses, the this, the that, I can't get over it. I feel bad for trashing on Baines because he's been solid. He has been good. I think he's gotten a lot of flack, but that start of the game was really tough for him right now. But I don't know, Riker. I'm not stressed out because I've embraced it. I've embraced the tank. Let's be bad. Let's not trade all of our assets, right? Like, not trade Norman Powell, but move on from Lowry, get some assets back, trade minimal pieces, trade the bench that hasn't been productive for you so far, get Spencer Dinwiddie, get Rashawn Holmes or Marvin Bagley. Those are the guys I want to go after, or I want to get Marvin Bagley. The Rashawn Holmes and Dinwiddie are reported by Shams. But Riker, do you have any more takes from this game? Because I
do have a couple more takes. I do have a couple more takes. Like legitimate takes is that one, John Wall, poor efficiency tonight, but he looked pretty good.
Yep.
I didn't realize he hasn't lost his athleticism after so many years out and such horrific injuries. He had that iconic John Wall 360 in the air finish. I don't remember who it was around, nor do I remember who he did that to a couple of years back, but he looked pretty good tonight. Chris Boucher, you said he didn't have much of an offensive output. He got dominated by Christian Wood. Christian Wood is a stud. That's the guy we're shedding tears that we didn't pick up in free agency because, again, you don't re-sign or you don't add a contract extension to Boucher. You don't pick up Aaron Baines. You give all that money to Christian Wood, and it's happy in Raptors land right now. This is the alternate universe where everything is good. I also want to say there's like 400 or more people floating around now in this live. So pop into the like section.
Get in
Make
that
sure you
like
subscribe.
section.
This is what I'm extremely curious about is we're saying it's almost a guaranteed that Kyle Lowry, this is it. He's done. He's out the door. It makes sense. Like it makes sense from where the Raptors want to go. It makes sense from giving him a positive situation so we can actually compete at the twilight of his career. But do you guys think that this is it?
Yeah.
Right? Is it for sure done? Is this his last game as a Toronto Raptor? Pop into the comment section, give it a like if you think so. I just want to hear, people are kind of responding to us, but what do you guys actually think? Those are my takes and my opinions. But again, before we get into like trade scenarios, Ben, this is what I think.
Mm-hmm.
It gives the team direction, right?
Yeah.
Being middle of the pack sucks because you know that you're not competitive enough to win, but you're not bad enough to be in a trade or a lottery pick situation. You're just treadmill and you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. It's just dreadful. It's boring. Now the Raptors, they might be in a situation where at least hey, let's start making moves. Let's be bad. Let's get a draft pick. We already have like 3 Pascal Siakam, OG, and Fred locked in. We can re-sign Norm if we want. That's a good core. Let's build around it. This becomes more fun now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And to build off those points, right, we're on the road to 20K subscribers. We've been forgetting to plug it, but Kyle Lowry's face is on that car. He's driving us right now. So tell your friends, right, get on this car before Kyle Lowry is traded and hop into the like section because it really helps us out. If you want to see a trade, not necessarily Lowry, not necessarily Norm, but just something happen. And if you don't, still hop into the like section and tell us why in the comment section below why you don't want to see a trade. But Riker, you said a lot of good points there, especially about this game, about everything going on. And I'm peeping at the chat and it's looking like people are agreeing that Kyle Lowry's getting moved. It's the thing that it would be stupid. It would be foolish for us not to trade Kyle Lowry. He's a win now guy. He's a ceiling raiser, but unfortunately, we don't have a house. We don't have a constructed building we don't have a ceiling for Kyle Lowry to raise, as we don't have a complete team. Our centers are like Siakam is arguably a small forward, and he jumped the ball tonight. So it is what it is. I think if we get a center, we could be good, but do we want to be good? We've dug ourselves a hole and all that sort of stuff. But we're going to swing into the segments before we really dive into all this. And tonight, the spicy pea lay of the day, brought to you by, I got the spice here, right? This segment's playing pretty long on the screen, but the spicy pea lay is sponsored by Roja Jungle Spice. We got that here, got the fire hot sauce looking. Riker's gonna take a dab of it tonight, but it takes it every time we do this. But straight from the jungle to Amazon, Riker. I don't know if you have anything more to say about the hot sauce, but he's taking a dab of it here. It's got to go to John Wall and that spin layup he had. I don't know if you have any others in mind or you want to talk about that dab, Riker.
I actually love this hot sauce, man. There's like a bunch. He's pushing the Roja. That's the new flavor, but there's a ton of flavors that I don't know if you've dabbled into them now, but they're fantastic. Check out the promo code. Ben, you gave it to John Wall, did you?
Yeah, John Wall spin layup. Norm had a couple dunks, and to be fair, I trashed on Baines earlier in this, and I'll throw a segment back up. He did come back after that horrible stretch of play and had a nasty jam. I think it was over Christian Wood. I don't know if you have any other ones in mind, Riker.
Kyle Lowry had a really nice lob to Pascal Siakam. Did you say that as well? Yeah. That was nice. There was some good plays in this. Now, I will admit to you, I fell asleep sometime in the third quarter, like boom, like that. And I just completely awoke when you texted me at the end of the game. So all of my plays are from first half. That's it. OGs tonight, Ben. I mean, we've said it a ton of times. Yes, this is a team that has an historical losing record. 20 games. Worst of all time, I think, is 26. It is the 2012-2013 Philadelphia 76ers.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
That was the worst of all time. And that was the... What was it called? The progress? Oh,
the process.
Trust the process.
Yep.
That was the worst team of all time in terms of losing streak. And the Houston Rockets are right up there in the mix. But again, 18 of those 20 games was Sans was without Christian Wood. And now that they have him back.
Did you say Sans?
You said you were studying French the whole time while you were watching this game.
I was studying French the whole time watching this game. And I learned in that time that it's not Sans, bro.
What is it?
Sans.
Sans.
Chris Boucher.
Sans Christian Wood. And That's it. He's back now. He had 2 games where he didn't have his legs under him, and then he absolutely feasted on Chris Boucher. He was just cutting him up in the paint, outside, step backs, side steps, Euro steps. Like, he literally scored on Chris Boucher in every way imaginable. OGs that they technically lost to one of the worst teams of all time, but also not really OGs because they were really only on a 2-game losing streak with the core unit.
Riker, we lost to a team that lost 20 straight. There's no other way of putting it. I know you're trying to be chill about it and all that sort of stuff, but it was a bad look. And we didn't lose. We didn't lose, Riker. We lost by 18 points. Quick maths. Just looking at the box score.
We were blown out.
We were blown out by a team that is trash. Utter trash. They didn't have Victor Oladipo. John Wall wasn't even supposed to play in this game. That's probably a reason he shot 8 for 30. Right? They were not good. This whole game, it was just not a good look. And we were worse. We were worse. I don't know what's going on. Because the thing about it is watching this team, watching this squad, obviously, there is talent. Right? Siakam, and I wanted to give the OGs to him because he had a bunch of shots that really made me say OGs. His mid-range shot, I don't know what it is, but because he was a decent shooter at one point. But I don't know if he's taken a jump shot since he's returned from health and safety protocols that hasn't hit the outside of the rim, right? That's from the mid and stuff. I don't know if he has. So it is what it is. Those shots made me say OGs. Norman Powell struggled, all that, those sorts of things. But this team has talent. Siakam, I see people in the chat saying he's the worst max contract of all time, this, that, whatnot, right? All that sort of stuff, right? He's not that, and even though he's not a true number 1 option right now, he's still talented. Norman Powell is ridiculously talented. Fred VanVleet is good. 27 points tonight, inconsistent a little bit, right? We have Chris Boucher who's solid. We have OG. We have a solid core, right? So we don't blow that up. We don't trade that for nothing. But if we're losing with that core, right, don't go and get a center right now to sort of piece it back together and make us fight for the 6th seed, right? Or the play-in tournament where we lose to the Nets. Because we could do that. Right, this is not to say the Raptors could be completely hopeless, right? And fair enough, maybe that's the best route. Maybe that's the route Masai Ujiri sees, but when you're already in a situation like this, rarely does a team with a lot of talent, right, have the opportunity to get Cade Cunningham, a Mobley. I don't even know who these guys are. I just hear people talking about them in our comment section, but I hear they're good, Riker, in the top 5 of this chat, in the top 5 players in this draft. Right, if you can get a top 5 pick while maintaining the talent, while having cap space next season, while still having a winning culture, right, while being in such a rare scenario where you don't have a home court, where it's an excuse, there's a pandemic, there's everything, maybe this is the perfect time. We just go down, we tank, and when we say tank, we don't mean trade Norman Powell for nothing, right? We don't mean waive Siakam or something like that, right? Do all these sorts of things. That's the OGs, Riker. I'm swinging into the Mario Carroll Gold Star because I'm excited to read this chat.
But let me say this. I want to just elaborate on your point. Hassan Marshall said, do what OKC done, trade for a bunch of draft picks. No. This is more similar to Golden State Warriors. They had one bad season. They pick up James Wiseman, who now they could potentially flip into Karl Anthony Towns, supposedly. Obviously, contracts wouldn't match up, and they roundabout ways they got Andrew Wiggins, who's been balling now for them. That I would say would have been the worst max contract of all time. And how many years did he get paid? And now he's turned around his career, it seems. It's also like the San Antonio Spurs. They have one season where David Robinson sucks, and then all of a sudden they pick up Tim Duncan in the draft, and then they become a perennial championship team. Like, you have these you're absolutely right, these rare times where you have your core unit intact, something happens, you're bad for a year, you pick up a good draft piece, and then you just keep going. You just keep going as if nothing ever happened, just a little blip on the radar.
Yep.
And I'm down for that.
To keep talking about the chat, Christopher Fung, I've seen him a few times in the chat. Shout out to you, but you just said a point, winning culture in the question mark, or say winning culture question mark, saying we don't have a winning culture. We have a winning culture. Right, we still have a roster of guys that won a championship 2 years ago. We've been a top 2 seed in the Eastern Conference for the past 7 years. The Raptors have a winning culture. Until we trade away all of our core, we have a winning culture. I'm not taking that slander, right? The Raptors are a good franchise. They're known as a good franchise. They're well coached. They're well managed. They're all this sort of stuff, right? So this is a perfect opportunity to really get that guy, right? And we're basically going in the chat. The final, the infamous, the one, the only Damari Carroll Gold Star Award. It's going to Malachi Flynn's dad, right? He's been pitching to get Malachi Flynn more minutes, and Malachi has had 0 points tonight, 0 of 2 from the field. He doesn't want to shoot the basketball. I think Malachi Flynn could be good, but he's just not shooting. He's not being aggressive. He's not doing these things. I'm also putting it on my screen as well here. DeAndre Bembry's getting another one, Riker, because this guy, he's shown promise. He's shown this. He's shown that. And I thought Leo Routens, even though I wanted to throw a shoe at the TV every time he said that the Raptors were tired and fatigued and whatnot, but he did make a good point about DeAndre Bembry, who has been struggling for minutes, hasn't really been getting an opportunity, and he had an opportunity in this one. He actually had a decent stretch of minutes there. He had 3 points, had some defensive stops, missed a few shots, but then just got super frustrated, got thrown out of the game. We didn't even see it on TV, but what are you doing? Right? You're trying to earn minutes. The Raptors are trying to claw their ways back, and obviously you and I, we don't care if we win or lose at this point. We honestly would rather lose because tank, but if you're trying to earn minutes, if you're trying to be a guy that's showing your value, don't get thrown out as soon as your team is going on a little bit of a run. Those are my little Damari Carroll gold stars, Riker. I don't know if you had any other ones in mind.
Oh, that's good. That's a perfect point to bring up. I'm looking at the comment section too. Iceman like Gervin said, Chandler Parsons is the worst max contract of all time. I would agree with that. I would challenge anybody to bring up a player that was worse after getting paid than Chandler Parsons.
Yeah.
Obviously, a little bit of that was injury, and then also just like getting traded around a ton.
A lot of that was injury because the guy just didn't play.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's that. Ben, let's sound the final alarm.
Yeah, let's get it going.
You know.
Woo! 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 Beep, beep, woo! 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 That's right. The final alarm has gone off, and yes, it does say 2 minutes on it, even though we usually go for 20 minutes of the final alarm. But you guys are just too fun, so we're gonna be reading the chat. Pascal has no rhythm again. Indeed, he doesn't. Danny, he is not good, right? Well, he was fine. He's been okay. He's been up and down. Kyle Lowry is our winning culture. That's a fair point, but Fred VanVleet, he's a winning guy. I think Siakam's a winning guy too, right? Like, these guys are good, right? Landry Field.
Yeah, people are just venting their frustrations now to say that the Raptors have a losing culture. I mean, you look at the box scores of the last couple games. You're telling me that Fred VanVleet putting up 27 points, right, at his height, getting guarded against an athletic John Wall, that guy's not a winner, right? You look at Norm Powell and what he's been able to do since being inserted into the starting lineup this season. The man is shooting, and now tonight's an exception, but he's shooting like over 40% from three. People were absolutely losing their minds when we suggested that he might be traded. They thought that we were saying that he should be traded, right? He has an incredible value to this team. Pascal Siakam was the legitimate second option on a championship team. It wasn't a Mickey Mouse ring. That was a legitimate year. That was pre-COVID, pre-bubble. The Raptors, they fought an incredibly tough series against the 76ers, then the Bucks, and then they beat the Golden State Warriors. That was a real championship. Pascal Siakam was the second option there. This is a winning team, and they're just not getting it done this season. Now, you make the right moves. You look a little bit more far-sighted down the road. You put together a better surround. I mean, what is it, Ben? It's the bench. It's the bench. It's not having a big man. There's some very obvious things that are happening, and if you can adjust those in the right time frame, then this team can easily get back to winning, get back to the playoff picture.
Bro, I have no idea who. We have a few people keep commenting the Raptors won a Mickey Mouse ring. Like, I see that on Twitter and stuff at LeBron James, but it makes no sense to us. Yes, the Raptors lost to Mickey Mouse today. The Raptors did lose to Mickey Mouse today, and Daniel House Jr. with those buns that he's got up there. I respect it, but like, it's his own thing. It is what it is. Sama wants us to, you and I, to sign on 10-day contracts. We could definitely help out with the tank.
Oh yeah, we could help tank. Ben's 5'6", I think. I'm 5'10".
Hey, yo,
we both.
I was listed 5'8" on those provincial rosters. In grade 7, I was actually listed as 6'1" once, and then I went to like 5'4", and then grew to 5'7". It was a crazy time.
I'm 23 years old, and literally it took me until my 22nd year of life to admit that I'm not 5'11". I'm 5'10". That's just maturity at this point. I know the impact that I would have on a basketball team. It's nothing.
We shooters, though. We're shooters. We can defend. We can play a little bit. I don't know.
The question is, would you go with more confidence than Matt Thomas?
Yes,
and the answer is of course.
I would shoot more than Matt Thomas, certainly. Matt Thomas would be pump faking stuff. I'd be letting it fly, doing these step backs and all that. I can handle, throw some no look passes. It is what it is. But bring back Jeremy Lin as tank commander. I think he'd be a good tank commander.
Listen, okay, this is what I'm going to say. I think we should have a real trade talk, maybe tomorrow or something like that. But you had such a fantastic video. I don't want to take away your thunder. I just want to repeat why your points made sense. Dinwiddie, he's injured. He was a 20-point per game guy. He is long. He's 6'5". It makes sense. You'd have him coming off the bench. You get bench scoring, which you've lost from bringing Norm Powell into the starting lineup. Right, you make a trade for a big man, maybe Richaun Holmes, but he had another fantastic evening tonight. It would make more sense if Marvin Bagley was offered for Saddiq Bey straight up, and they declined. The Pistons declined that. So you give TD and Stanley Johnson in a second for Marvin Bagley. Again, now you have two guys that are injured. You're looking to future. They're all in the same age group. Now you have Tyler Herro or Duncan Robinson that might be offered up along with Kelly Olynyk, along with who else would be offered in that? Goran Dragic.
Yep. Or
and
Iguodala or something. Now
you have,
that.
Yeah, you have all of these assets coming back. You're looking at the long term, the longevity of this team, and you keep the core unit intact, which 3 of them you already have on contract, and then you have the bird rights on Norman Powell, who you can eat into the cap space a little bit if you want to re-sign. That's not a bad team.
Yep.
And you bring back fans. You go back to Toronto. You play in the Scotiabank Arena. You're not the Tampa Raptors anymore. I don't know. To me, that is a pretty good way to go about things. I would challenge people to say that, that's inherently flawed if you go about it.
And look, this roster, as constructed, with a Serge Ibaka and with a washed Marc Gasol, really was one game away from the NBA Finals in both of our opinions, right? This is a talented roster. And that was coming off some extreme circumstances, specifically Siakam, who really fell off a cliff at that point in the playoffs. He's been a bit better this season, but I think he's going to get back to at least athletic-looking, normal shooting Siakam next year, we'd all hope, right? So it's a situation, and Marvin Bagley's a guy I really want to hone in on. The rumors were Richaun Holmes, but Bagley, Saddiq Bey, the Pistons turned down a Saddiq Bey for Marvin Bagley trade. We can give up the same value. We can get the value of Saddiq Bey back to the Kings, right? We can do that, whether it's a couple second-round picks and Terrence Davis and Matt Thomas, right? We can make that happen. If we get Bagley, he's in the same boat as Dinwiddie. He's injured. He'll come back next season. We have the Raptors training staff to really get these guys healthy. I'd love to see it, but we gotta look at the chat a little bit more. People want Nick.
Somebody said icicles or something. Dinwiddie is coming off a torn ACL. That's a hard no from me. Again, you look at how the Raptors manage players coming off of injury. You look at players such as John Wall or there's been a ton of guys that have come back from these big injuries, and you're not asking him to be a starter. You're asking him to be a bench scorer.
Yep.
I think it's within his realm of capability to do that because he's not a guy that's finishing above the rim. He's just a skilled guard. So it would make sense to get him back, player option, like you said. And it's because they're only asking for a second-round pick and a role player.
Yep.
You're telling me you wouldn't trade Stanley Johnson and a second-round pick for a guy that might come back from ACL and not be as good as what you would hope him to be as a sixth man? Like, you're obviously going to take that risk.
Yep. And these are the guys, too. It's a free agent. He's a free agent, this, that, whatever, right? But he averaged 21 points per game. The Raptors aren't signing anyone that averaged that close of points per game this offseason, specifically after the year we've just had, right? Dinwiddie would be a great pickup. It's a cheap value. You'd have his bird rights. You'd have all that, right? Like that would be such a good move. Sign Boogie. We're not going to sign Boogie. Like, he's not going to come here, right? Maybe he's looking for a team, but I don't even know what's the deal with Boogie. I wouldn't want him at this point. Powell for John Collins. No, I like Norman Powell better than John Collins. You'd have to give him the exact same money, right? The Raptors have enough guards. I see what you're saying there. But, yeah, we don't want to trade our core players, right?
I think we finished on this point.
Yeah.
And Christopher Fung brought it up. A bunch of people have brought it up throughout this. And it seems like it's only 76ers and Heat right now that are the legit people offering packages. If it's Duncan Robinson, not Tyler Herro, and it's a Duncan Robinson package or it's a Tyrese Maxey package, who would you rather receive? Now, I know that you obviously would probably prefer to have Lowry as a Miami Heat player rather than a Philadelphia 76ers, but that sort of bias aside and just what we would get back, would you rather have Duncan Robinson plus or Tyrese Maxey plus?
Duncan Robinson plus. number one, Tyler Hero, right? Because when we say Duncan Robinson, everyone's like, oh, but Tyler Hero's better. We're saying that because we assume we're not getting Tyler Hero. If we get Tyler Hero,
Yeah, they wouldn't trade him for James Harden.
Yeah, now their opinion of him has faded a little bit because he's shooting a lot worse from three this year and all that sort of stuff. But if we get Hero, get Hero. Then it's Robinson as the main piece, especially if a Precious Achiuwa is added, a pick is added, that sort of stuff, right? That's a deal I'd be more lenient towards. But again, I don't think the Sixers package is horrible. Specifically, if we get a couple of extra picks, I'm not that high on Tyrese Maxey, but I think he could be good in the future. But again, it's something happening there, right? People are sounding off in the chat. We're going to be talking a lot over these next couple of days. There's going to be a lot of rumors, a lot of reports, a lot of this. It's 1:42 in Newfoundland. Someone asked earlier if we're based in Newfoundland. Yes, we're based in Newfoundland. So it is late right now. So we're going to... Riker's about to fall asleep. I'm going to fall asleep in my my Raptors Digest hoodie. Right, that's... Got that in, got the hot sauce. Checked the mail today. Everything came in. So it's exciting times, right? We really appreciate all you guys for watching these videos. They're a bit longer. They're live, so it's fun incorporating the chat. Let us know if you like the longer length reaction podcast because they're a lot of fun for us, right? We hope they're
502 peak viewers right now.
I love
Final
it.
plug, guys.
We're plugging it again.
Pop into the like section.
Get into
Pop
that like
into
section.
the like section.
Get in there because that's the place to be, right? You want to see the trades. You want to hear about the trades happening first. It's late, right? Get into the like section. Subscribe. The keyboard's gone. I don't know why that always happens, but we're on the road to 20K subscribers. We've been plugging our games. Mine and your games, Riker, for a while in the past few pods. Riker and I are playing a game of one-on-one when we hit 20K subscribers, right? So it's you want to see that. Subscribe, tell your friends, right? It's got to happen soon because Riker's got to be in he's leaving Newfoundland at some point soon. But check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all the cool stuff. The TikTok's been popping, check that. And Riker, do you have any last words?
That's it. Cheers.